poppin'? Real ones. Logan Murdock here. Raja Bell there. And by there, I mean live from Vegas. It's going to be a doozy. Let's get right to it. Let's talk about the New York Knicks, who are currently 19-7 in the East, right behind the Detroit Pistons. They're currently on a 7-game winning streak. In the last calendar month, they've only lost 2 games. They're in the Raja zone of top 5 in points per game, 3-pointers made and 3-point percentage, second in offensive rating behind Denver, 4th in net rating, 4th in opponents' points per game. And they won the NBA Cup. Raja, how do you feel about the Knicks so far this season? How do they sustain this? Whatever this magic is, how do they sustain it?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Knicks. I like the Knicks especially in the Eastern Conference when you're talking about, how wide open that is. They're experienced in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. They're shooting the ball a little more freely this year, I think, from 3. But when I go back and look at all of their numbers, I mean, Brunson's fractionally up, Cat's fractionally down, points per game, that is. OG's hovering. What they have this year that they didn't have last year is a bench that can produce. They can go into their depth a little bit more, which allows you to sustain, runs within games. It allows you to sustain runs throughout the course of, a stretch of games, because you're not having to always run those starters deep into the fourth quarter in games that you ordinarily would be able to put away to start the fourth quarter. Because there's a handful of those throughout the course of an NBA season, right? When you're a good team, where, hey, we can get up out of here. We can let this bench get in there, and coach doesn't have to worry about that lead disappearing on us in 3 minutes, and now we have to go back in and close. So, I like what they're doing. I like what Mike Brown's done with them offensively, freeing them up a little bit. They do some good stuff. When pick and roll's taking place or primary action up top, where they're moving guys now a little bit, which is occupying defenders, and just little wrinkles here and there. But I like the Knicks, especially in the Eastern Conference that is wide open, right? Right now, you'd look at it and say them and Detroit. We saw that last year. It was a really good, it was a good series. I thought I give Detroit credit for playing them a little tougher than I thought. But if you're the Knicks, you take that.
The Ringer NBA show is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live and your way so you could build the bet that fits your play. Plus, don't miss out on holiday offers and surprises all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to get started. 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
I love your point about the bench and what they have been doing with the bench. I think there's more of a trust there than there was last year. They also got Jordan Clarkson. They got a lot of guys that can play off the bench and that can score off the bench and kind of supplement when the starters are out. Case in point of a game like the Pacers game last night, which was, I think we're going to start, as long as we have the NBA Cup, we're going to start seeing the difficulty with the game after the NBA Cup. You saw that last night with the Thunder, where the Thunder get down. I think they were down like 10 points to the Clippers, right, where they're just trying to get their motion back. And the Knicks go into Indiana. It's one of those slog games that you play like shit, but you have to you have to trust your guy at the end, and they trusted Brunson in the end. But for the large stretches of that game, there were guys that a lot of people in the NBA fan would be like, who's that? Who's that? A lot of those type of guys stepping up to the plate and continuing that lead and making sure that they have a game down the stretch for Jalen Brunson to kind of finish. And you're starting to see more of those types of things. And I think one of the things that gets neglected with Thibs is he plays these guys so many minutes that when either a guy is going to go down and you run him into the ground, or if a guy is injured, you don't trust anyone to step up in the biggest moments. And I think when I think about this, I think about the Spurs back in the day when, they would get in trouble for, load management before it was load management, but they would have these games where they would sit Timmy, they would sit Manu, they would sit Tony, and the bench would get them a game, or they would play really well and win a game that they're not supposed to. And you would see those same guys in January win those games in April and May and June And I'm starting to see that. One other thing that you brought up, and I really want to talk about this because both of us have a relationship with this guy or have had experiences with this guy, and that's Mike Brown. And this was a quote after, I think this was after the Pacers game. This is from Jalen Brunson. And he talks about the confidence that Mike Brown has instilled in the team. And he says, it shows the confidence and trust that Mike has in us to figure it out. He's unafraid to fail. And I think that mindset of not being afraid to fail is good for us because it allows us to continue to fight. It allows us to go out there and not worry about the result. We may play great defense on a possession, hit a tough shot. We may play great game all game and lose in the final buzzer, but we're not afraid to fail. I think that's big time for us. We've got to continue to do that and have that mindset going forward. And I felt like that was a very instructive quote on the metamorphosis of Mike Brown, because even 2 years ago, I remember talking to Malik Monk about Mike Brown, and he says he wants to be a perfect in an imperfect world. And I think you saw a lot of that when you saw him in Cleveland. And I kind of see more of a freeness. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last, but I really do like what I've seen from Mike Brown with this group. And you've seen that that trust really work out in games like last night and also games like the NBA Cup, where they're down, they put in a lineup with Mitchell Robinson and that bench, and that gets them back into the game against the Spurs, and they ended up winning that game. What have you thought about Mike Brown and this metamorphosis, even in this small sample size that we have of him in the Knicks?
Well, let me touch first on the development of your bench, right? Like it's really, it's interesting because to trust your bench, they have to get out there and perform at a level, and succeed on a level that instills trust in other people, the coach, their teammates, the front office, so on and so forth. But to even be afforded that opportunity, like they've got to earn that trust by going out there and doing it, but they've got to be afforded that trust up front to have the opportunity to go out there and make the mistakes that you might be talking about, Logan, right? Because you're not coming in off the bench every game, first time they call your number, and being perfect as a bench player. Like it just doesn't work like that. There may be some instances where you come out and you're 3 for 3 and you hit all your assignments and now, your shift is over. But more often than not, like you're just knocking jitters off, especially the first couple times you're called on. And so that is imperfect. And so someone's got to look at it and understand that and not obsess about the imperfect and give you another opportunity to go out there the next time so that you can, hey, I'm a little bit better this time as a player, right? And like that, now I'm developing into someone that you can trust more, but it started with you trusting me in the first place, right? And so like, it's a weird thing. And as far as the psyche of a player goes, I always felt from a coach, I could feel the way you felt about me reflected in the way you coached me, right? So like we read everything as players, your facial expression when we make a mistake, the tone of your voice, like when you're instructing us, whether you have patience with us. No, I mean, these are just things, right? Especially as a young player, when I'm looking around and I'm like, yo, does this cat have patience with me? Or is he just looking to bite my head off every time I make a mistake? And those things register and they stay with us. So, coaches develop too. And through trial and error, like Mike Brown's been with some great coaches. He's had success in some places. He's had some failure in some places. But I think what he's starting to understand, especially with this generation of player, Logan, is that like these guys respond way more and respond better to positivity, to, less hands-on than the generation before. The generation before was, those coaches were basically trying to play, some of them were trying to play Xbox with you, like they were so far in your head every possession that you were like, fuck, I can't even think. Now the better ones like Mike D'Antoni, offensive ones, I should say, the better offensive minds, they were kind of hands off and they kind of let you do what you do. And because of that, I would have had a quote very similar to Brunson's about Mike Brown when talking about Nelly or Mike D'Antoni, because those guys just instilled confidence because, first of all, they let you know it, they verbalized it, but you never really looked over at them and saw them super frustrated or all bent out of shape because you made a mistake. It was always, hey, on to the next, let's figure it out. And that, players respond to that, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, what I would say to you is on the defensive side of the ball, guys like Larry Brown, Jerry Sloan, they didn't have that same hands-off, instilling confidence approach on the offensive end. So like, I didn't have those feelings about them, but because they were sticklers and they were in your ass and they were, defensively, they usually put out a better product.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm staying on this when you talk about the balance that's required on that, right? Because sometimes and you're talking about legendary coaches here. So like we're kind of splitting hairs, right? When you have the Nellies, the Mike Browns, the Larry Browns, not the Mike Browns, the Mike D'Antonis, the Larry Browns. What's the balance that you have to have on staff when you either have a hard ass at leading your bench or maybe an easygoing person leading your bench? Do you have to have a number one assistant that is different, right? Like I think about a Doc Rivers and a Tom Thibodeau in Boston, right? Like Doc Rivers is a guy's guy and very personable. And then you had the defensive coordinator Tibbs, like, hey, you could hear him like on the sidelines. Like what as a staff, like what kind of balance do you need?
Yeah, no, balance is the word, right? Like you got to have whatever your head is, your associate head or your number one assistant needs to be the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And maybe he could be a chair removed from the head assistant, but you have to have if your head coach is a vibes guy, hey, chill, everything's gonna be all right, brother. Let's focus. You have to have that voice of reason, that I'm not fucking around guy somewhere close to him on that bench. And if your head is the hey, I'm not fucking around, like you already know what time it is with me, then you gotta have a vibes guy that can bring a young player over and be like, hey, man, he's tripping. You know he's gonna be tripping. Like just keep doing what you do, everything's gonna be all right. You gotta have that guy close to him. So balance within a staff is important. And then, the delegation of responsibility, right? Like, because some coaches might have their counter, personality near them, but they don't free them up in a way that allows them to really do their job. So, like, all of that thing all of those things are important to staffs for sure.
I think it's funny. Like, I don't know what Mike Brown is right now in this small sample size. And also, like, I haven't, seen him I saw him in Summer League, but I haven't seen him as a member of the Knicks coach in person. But I do remember, when I was covering both in Sacramento up and in the Bay, he was just a stickler for detail in a way that was just kind of sometimes scary, to be honest with you. Sometimes he would I don't know if I've told this story on the pod, but he used to take pictures of his outfits all 82 games and take pictures from down to the suit, to the tie, to the shoes, every game, and would have it out on his phone so he could cross-reference for what he had going on the road, right? That was a stickler, right? And then he began with the Kings, every little detail, he would get on their ass. And I think a lot of ways that kind of, I want to separate two things. One, I think he got a raw deal in Sacramento because it's Sacramento. But on the other hand, he did kind of wear that team out with the attention to detail. And here it seems like he's kind of taking the foot off of the gas. And also he can be a vibes guy. Like if you see him, he's kind of the life of the party. If you know, at Golden State. But I think what's required after all of those years with Thibs and getting to a certain point, I feel like this Knicks team needed a breath of fresh air. Like, man, that was just a lot of work, right? Like, do you think that is working for the Knicks right now? Just like that, okay, cool. Like, we're not going to get a foot in our ass every game, every time out. We're going to actually get some version of an affable guy.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, Logan, because there is a period of time, you leave a relationship and that person was overbearing in any way, shape, or form. That if you hopped into another relationship, you might go find somebody that was just the opposite of that. And vibes will be super high for a while until you may figure out at some point that person has their own faults and there were some benefits to having the person that you had before, And so that remains to be seen because, like I said, while Tibbs offensively and the grind that he could put players through in terms of just overall minutes, and just maybe mental bandwidth, if you're not getting over the hump with that style, it can burn you out. Um, there's also some benefit to that style. It raises the floor of who you can be in certain instances, right? Because like push comes to shove, preparation, understanding, assignment driven is going to be right because he beats it into you. So like you're going to get that kind of stuff right. Now, the freedom, the relaxation to play good offense and be who we are might not always be there. So that might limit your ceiling, but the floor is going to be set relatively high. Now, Mike Brown is going to remain to be seen, but I do think what you see from them offensively is sort of a refreshing, like kind of breath for them, right? This is a hey man, we are now freed up in some instances to play through these mistakes and do things, and it might even be as simple as like their off days are kind of more reflective of a chill personality than they might have been under Tibbs. I don't know. I'm not there. I know Tibbs used to be a beat you up in practice, kind of take 2 years off of your career kind of coach. But it'll remain to be seen. And as far as I could say about Mike, like I didn't know Mike Brown super well. He was on staff, I believe, when I was in training camp with San Antonio, and then I was a consultant at the time coming to see him with the Cavs towards the end of that. And that team, when you walked into practice and David Griffin asked me to hang around for 2 days and just kind of let him know what I thought of the team's response, if you will, to like Mike's messaging. And it took me all of 2 hours to be like, yeah, no, they're out. Like this. I mean, these
And you
dudes.
caught them late in the season during that time, right? Like it was like later in there.
This was basically the end of the season. And you could just feel the vibes. There was nothing that Mike was doing per se the days that I was there, but you could look around and see people's body language. You could see, their lack of interest in what was coming from him. Like it just was obvious, right? What he did to get them there, I don't know. They were losing, and like losing makes everything more miserable. So the proof will be in 2 things as I see it. Like if the Knicks hit a tough stretch, like our vibe's still really high. And then if we're being honest, like what does Mike Brown do late game, like he did with the Pacers situationally throughout the course of the playoff run that either allows them to overcome and achieve some of their goals or underachieves, right? And that'll be the determining factor, because we could say what we want, but Tibbs had them in a really good spot last year. They just didn't get over the hump.
Yeah, there's a lot to prove. That's why I say it's a small sample size, right? Like, I mean, part of it, like I just said, like there was some burnout there in his last days in Sacramento. And also, like, I remember my first time that I ever seen Mike Brown was like my first day ever, like, interning. It was during the lockout year. And the Lakers were up in Sacramento, and I went to the game, and I went to the shoot around. This was like to start the season, Raja. Remember when you played? They had the back-to-back-to-back. He had shoot-arounds all back-to-back-to-backs. Nuts. You remember that, right? So,
hey, listen, let me just say this, not to interrupt you. You want a motherfucker to check out on you? Go back-to-back-to-back shoot-arounds.
Bro, he had Kobe.
We ain't listening to nothing. I ain't listening to nothing else you got to say.
I'm trying to go back to sleep, bro. Like I just came from LA to Sac, bro. We got in late. I'm trying to go to what are you talking about? Why are we even here?
Right.
But you mentioned the bench, and I want to stay on that really quick before we go to the next segment. From what you've seen from New York's bench, do you believe that at this point, if they continue this trajectory of whatever they're going, does that kind of quell your concern on the Brunson question, which is at the end of the season we give him too much responsibility and he's pretty much our only offense, or at least our only point of offense in April and June, or April, May-ish, like where, I mean, I know there's Cat and there's Bridges, but the ecosystem is around Brunson at all times. Does that quell your concern at all?
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but no, they are a Jalen Brunson-centric team.
Yeah.
Like that's what they are. SGA is the straw that stirs the drink in Oklahoma City. There are teams that are built like that, where it would be great if Cat or OG or Jordan Clarkson or the rest of that, or whoever can come in and win us games when Jalen Brunson is not playing great. But the reality is, if Jalen Brunson isn't playing great through stretches of time, the same way as SGA isn't playing great through extended stretches of time, it makes it exponentially harder for y'all to win games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the fact that you have more general playmakers and guys that can get a bucket on that second unit, it certainly helps and alleviates, some of the pressure for him to have to do that night to night. But let's make no mistake, like that's the way they play.
Yeah. We'll see. The Knicks are fascinating. They will always be fascinating, and I can't wait to talk about them more. And on the next segment, we're going to talk about one of me and Raj's favorite subjects, crash outs in the NBA. The Ringer NBA show is brought to you by FanDuel. 'Tis the season to be boosting on FanDuel because this year you're getting 7 straight days of holiday rewards. Every day brings a new way to play, so keep checking in to see what drops next. And it all leads to the Christmas Day special where you can get something extra special, 7 days of gifts, one big finale. Head to FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to get in the holiday spirit. FanDuel, play your game. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states and 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. The holidays move fast, and Amazon Prime keeps you in control with fast and free delivery. We've all been there. Family plans are fluid. Somebody's not coming. Suddenly they are coming, and you're excited about it. You want to get them a gift, so you hop on Amazon Prime, line that up with their interests, and it's easy to do because Amazon has everything. Prime's fast shipping is always there for you during the holidays, especially when it's last minute, and it just can't wait. Need that last minute gift or holiday essential? It's on Prime. Head to amazon.com/prime to shop now.
Okay, we are back. We're here to talk about Dillon Brooks' week of crash outs. Most recently, and Raja has just seen the footage, so I'm very curious to see what he thinks about what happened last night, where Steph Curry is trying to shoot a three, and Dillon Brooks hit him in the gut, and Curry later described the action as wild. It was on a 3-point shot. Dillon Brooks got called for a flagrant. Steph Curry called it bush league and wild. The Warriors were down 5. He just went to go shoot a 3. He got hit, fell down. Dillon Brooks's reaction to this was hilarious, though. He said, "I thought he was going to run and try to get a rebound, so I tried to stop him. But I've been lifting too much, doing what other guys are doing and lift on a game day, bro. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. I just got to figure it out next game so I don't do anything to put our team in a bad spot," which is good. He's lifting weights. He's self-reflective. Very, very measured from Dillon Brooks here. And this was a couple days after he got into it with LeBron, which I didn't really trip off the LeBron one as much. I just thought, he got on LeBron's face. We kind of need a villain in the league. I think more and more, though, Dillon is playing well this season. I think he's averaging like 20 a game. He's really supplementing their offense. He's doing really well. I
Dillon
think
is hooping.
He's really hooping. But this is the thing with Dillon Brooks is that the antics always overcome the hooping because he is legitimately, no matter what you say about his antics, a really good defender and a pretty decent offensive player. But this tends to happen with him. Raja, do you think this is a reputational outrage that we have on Dillon Brooks, or do you think it's warranted?
No,
Based on what you just saw.
Yeah, that's not a crazy foul. I mean, did he need to do that? No. Was he trying to hurt anybody? No. I mean, it's just an antagonistic foul. You know what I mean? He clearly likes to be in that space. That does something for him, emotionally. I don't know. There was no need to do it. It was just, it wasn't a thing where he tried to break his leg or anything like that. He's just kind of chopped him across the chest midsection. I got mixed emotions on it. Dillon, first of all, we're brand building here, right?
Yeah.
Dillon Brooks is never going to be a Steph Curry brand for the NBA or a LeBron brand for the NBA. So he's trying to carve out a lane for himself in some regard, right? Kudos to him. And to your point, he's playing really, really good basketball. Like he has continued to develop a skill set, and he's doing more and more in terms of like his bag work and ability to score a bucket. But that's kind of his lane, is that antagonistic, pest, going to be in some dumb shit, and we're talking about him today, right? So like, I kind of a win for him if we're being honest. Like that's, but like some people's job on teams is to be that antagonist and like just be in some shit with everybody, and he relishes kind of that role. I like that role a little bit. Like I was, you know, that's my job, is to be out there. He's got more offensive responsibility than I did. But like my job was to see if I could get, however I could, like your best player to be more worried about what I was doing than what they needed to do.
So a couple of things that come to mind. One, like Dillon Brooks is who he is. Like it's fine. Like I have honestly evolved my thinking on Dillon Brooks from when he was with the Grizzlies versus when he is now, because also fact of the matter is teams need this. Like they don't need like the, necessarily like the you fucking up other players and getting flagrants and putting your team in jeopardy, which he did, catching a flagrant that time in the game. And more than anything, it just wasn't a smart play, more than just being like a dirty play. But you do need somebody to kind of rev you up. And it, like, I feel like with Dillon, and just, I've been around him a little bit. I've seen him in Houston. Obviously seen him in Memphis, but for the most part, it seems like it's a persona that comes on the court, because he's a relatively nice guy when he's off. He's very, smart when he talks. Like he gives you time. I'm only speaking this from a media member, but like it seems like he's a very nice person. But when he comes on the court, you could tell he's doing the antics, he's doing the stuff. He's like yelling, he's like looking at people, like trying to gain an edge, right? And that is what it is. The other thing that comes to mind is like when you talk about the reputation and what it does for someone, whether it's fair or unfair. I think one of the things that he has to deal with on this scale is like he on one hand, he has to play with that edge, but also now that edge is being used against him when he is an important player for that team. Like he's the second best player on the Phoenix Suns right now, bar none. Like anytime you watch them, he's doing really good, and he is a leader in that team. I don't know what the balance is for him at this point, because every little thing that he does, every like shouting match, anytime he tries to gain an edge, which by the way, he was doing against the Lakers, right, and was doing against Golden State, he can't he can't pull back, right, because that's what makes him good. But I don't know what he does from here, because he's going to continue to, because now we're invested in him being quote unquote a crash out. We're invested not only like we are as like viewers, but the Bleacher Report alerts, right? Anytime Dillon Brooks does anything, it's right on our phone. So I feel like the league and its apparatus is invested in him being an asshole. What do you do when that, on one hand, is like the league's perspective, and then you also have to be a basketball player that's effective for your team, and the way that you're effective is gaining an edge. I don't know how you navigate that.
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple. I don't know that our employer would want to hear this, or any other media outlet or any fan, but Dillon Brooks does not give a fuck whether it comes up on your Bleacher Report feed or your fucking Spotify. Like, he don't care. Like, he doesn't care that a random fan thinks he's a crash out. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. So, like, that's how easy it is, right? Like, you go out there and you do what you do. He's in character, to your point, right? Like, there's a WWE-ness to this, if this makes sense. Like, he goes out, right, and he gets in that locker room, and he shows up, and he's got a job to do, and he's got a persona to be for his team, and he flips into character, and he goes to work. And the balance is an interesting one to me, Logan, because I kind of talked about, to be that guy, if you don't have otherworldly gifts, sometimes you have to go to a place that brings you very, very close to that line. And the line will blur on you at times, and you'll find yourself across that line. And you just hope that when you cross that line, it doesn't cost your team in a way that you become the villain to them, because in their world, you're not a villain. Like you are their guy. You are their kind of backbone, and you are their tone setter. And so as long as you're being that for them, um, you're not a villain. Now, if you cost them something that really means something to them by those actions, you could become a villain to them and to your fan base. But nobody in Phoenix is hating on Dillon Brooks,
No, I think
right?
honestly, I think he's endearing himself to Phoenix. And specifically, if you
Yeah,
think about Phoenix and what they're doing right now, I didn't think Phoenix was going to be this good at all. And
no doubt.
they're well coached and they have dudes.
And I bet there's a portion of the Houston fan base that he's endeared himself to when he was there. Same with Memphis. Like, you don't like him when he's not on your team, but when he's on your team, he's yours, right?
Yeah.
And so you asked me about the crash outedness of it all. Nobody really cares, bro. Like, that's Dillon Brooks didn't turn into that yesterday. Like, Dillon
Yeah.
Brooks has played this style of basketball with this level of back and forth and just overall, antagonism his whole life. That's who he's been. So he's
Yeah.
not really tripping off of that. Fans don't like it because he's into it with your favorite superstar. That's your problem. That's not a Dillon Brooks. Like, Dillon's fine. That's what he does.
When you said the thing about, though, like, where you want to endear yourself to the fan base and you don't want them to, like, turn against you. I think that's what happened, and it kind of colored my thinking of Dillon Brooks early in his career, because that's what happened in Memphis, right? Like, he lost them arguably was one of the reasons why they lost that playoff series against the Warriors, just because of his play. Fucking broke Gary Payton's arm, right? And he made some really dangerous plays, and it overshadowed how good he was that season, particularly, their record on and off when Ja was on and off the floor that season being so good is in large part because of Dillon Brooks that season. But I think he has evolved now, and I think that, we're still I think we are still holding that against him, right? Like, I think in Houston, they loved him for that reason that you speak of, right? Especially because Houston at that time was like us against the world. We're this young team. We don't give a fuck. We're about to try to beat all of you guys, and you guys don't believe in us. And he kind of fed into that. Kind of same deal here in Phoenix. So I'm not tripping. It's funny though. It was funny to see your reaction in the break though, when we were talking about, when I was like, "What happened with Dillon Brooks?" And you said this wasn't that fucking bad. It's fine. Relax, guys.
Yeah, that was. I mean, listen. Full disclosure, I was flying all last night, so I didn't get to see the game live. Like, I saw some of the Pacers Knicks. But yeah, dude, that's not like an egregious. What was it called for? No, like, he did not need to do.
It was
that.
a dumb
But, like,
play. I think it was a dumb
stupid.
decision. Yeah,
It was stupid. And I listen. I mean, I know you're more attached to Golden State than I am, just as as a media member and stuff like that. I'd be really interested if you polled the Memphis Grizzlies fan base on who Dillon Brooks was to them, to hear if they found him to be the cost of a potential, like, championship run, or overall the feedback was positive. I'd lean towards the second. I'd bet that more people in that fan base, like, really F with what he did there than blame him for not, being able to win a championship in Memphis.
especially as it relates to Golden State, because they do not fuck with Golden State in Memphis. I tell you that right now. Yeah, man. Shout out Dillon Brooks. There's another thing that I would like to bring to your attention. I'm not sure if you saw it over the week, but the NBA Cup is the league is considering moving the NBA Cup final to Cameron Indoor Stadium next year in Durham, North Carolina, the site of Duke University, because they have a year-to-year lease with the T-Mobile Arena. I got 3 questions for you on this. Do you like the suggestion? What's the coolest place you've ever played a basketball game? And where would you want to see a basketball game played?
I mean, why Cameron Indoor Stadium?
See,
Why?
I think that this shows that the league is flailing at this point, and they're just trying to find any type of interest for this. It doesn't make sense on the face when you talk about in terms of travel, right? Because, like, in terms of, like, for everyone involved, for the teams involved, because Durham is just not a place you really go to, right? as an NBA team unless it's the preseason. Vegas is just, say what you want about Vegas. Vegas is very easy to get to. It's one of the few places in America where you can get to Vegas from literally anywhere. And then, like, you want more, just from a media standpoint, you want more media at your games. It's really fucking hard to get to Durham, North Carolina, and, like, your fans to get to Durham, North Carolina. But I guess they want everybody in front of the Dukies, right? I don't know the suggestion. It doesn't really make sense to me. Cliff likes it more than I do. But that's my read on it. It just seems like the league is flailing and wants to do anything to drum up interest for the NBA Cup. So I think that's what it is.
It's the first time I heard of it. Like, initial reaction is that sounds stupid to me. I don't know. It holds 9,000 people. Like, I don't know. I don't. Why Cameron? Of all the, I mean, I get look.
Maybe just have the crazies come to like root them on and like just have like a fucking raucous ass environment, but they're not cheering for anything, right? Like the Dukies,
they're not incentivized to be as crazy as they normally are for like the NBA Cup. Like I don't know. I would have loved to have played in Cameron. It is a bucket list type of place for me. I'd still love to go see a game there at some point, but like having the NBA Cup there, I don't know why that makes sense for the NBA Cup. As far as craziest places, coolest places I played, I think the coolest place I ever played was a preseason game. It was us against the Denver Nuggets, the Suns against the Denver Nuggets, and we played outdoors at in Palm Springs, California, in one of those tennis venues.
What did you guys play where they play the what's the shit called? Damn it, it's the one
is it Indian Wells?
Indian Wells? Was that where Indian Wells was? Yep.
I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me, but I think it was where Indian Wells was, and they laid a court out, and it was beautiful the day we got there. Vibes were high, and the next morning we went to shoot around, and it was freezing. It was the worst basketball. It was crazy. It was windy. It was cold. I don't know.
It's just like we're going to the cup. Fuck everything. Fuck the offense. We're going to the cup.
It was awful, but super cool. Like it was really cool. Some of my favorite places to play, College of Charleston back in the day when I was in college, they were our rival at FIU. They had a stadium that like Sports Illustrated did like ranking college environments or college. Theirs was like in the mix with Cameron Indoor. The fans were like right on the baseline and right on the sideline. So it was a really, really cool place to play. They were always raucous. They were like a top 25 program. The Pit in New Mexico, we played there.
Oh, yeah, I heard about the Pit. The Pit
was like shaking. It would get so loud in that bad boy.
Isn't it one of those things where like it's not underground, but it's like one of those things where it's underground?
Yeah, it's built down.
Yeah, it's built down, and like the fans are like literally on top of you, similar to Utah, but like just on steroids because they're literally like, you know who else is like that? Viejas Arena in San Diego State. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's just like you go all the way down. It's those red seats. It's really intimidating.
Yeah. This one was they had a cat named Charles Smith, and then they had Kenny. Forget what Kenny's name was. He played for the Rockets. Kenny Thomas, maybe. Kenny Thomas. So they were good. It's a tough place to play. That building was crazy. And then I played in Rupp. Like one of my first road trips as a freshman was Rupp Arena. They had they were good, man.
Aren't they like 23,000? It's a lot of people going to Rupp, right? That's a lot of people.
Dog, I had never BU. We played in a little gym. The teams that we had played up until that point were all like relatively. I mean, we played Providence, but that place wasn't rocking to come see BU. We got to damn Kentucky, and the sea of blue hit me. I don't know that it was out of body experience for the whole 3 hours we were there, dog. Like I don't even remember playing in the game.
You was playing out of your body, huh? You was just like, oh, what the fuck?
It was crazy. No, that was crazy. Those were three. Trying to think of anywhere else that I got to go. I mean, we played in Chrysler or whatever Michigan's was. I played in some pretty cool places, but those three were probably the best.
That's what's up. Every time I think of like what's the best place I've watched a basketball game, it's like typically a basketball arena, and I feel like weird about that because I mean, like I want to like have something like but you know what a cool one was? I got to go to UCLA and watch their runs, and that was fucking crazy because I'm not going to say the players, and I'm not going to say that because I don't want to like, out myself on that. But like you see like player X that you watch in an LA Fitness type of environment, and you realize how much better they are than like the average mortal, especially when they're playing against like other professionals. It's one like there was a I don't know if you saw this. There was a clip that was like circulating in social media where you see Quinn Cook going to LA Fitness. Shout out Quinn Cook. I covered him a couple of years. He's a good dude. But like he's going up against like normal people, right? And he's just like fucking with them. Like he'll cross them over and like hit a jump shot. But it's one thing to like see like the disparity in talent, but when everybody is good running pickup, it's different. It was just like you see the athleticism up front, and and I got to just sit on a baseline. It was super cool. I got to see one of your favorite players, Raja, and I'll just leave it at that. One of your all-time favorite players that you always bring up on this podcast. I got to see him play, and he's insane on television already, but to see him in a like LA Fitness type setting, it wasn't LA Fitness, it was UCLA's like gym that's a famous type of pickup run. But to see him just dunk on people talking shit, and it was the first time when I saw this person, like, you see the persona of this person, and then you see like how he is around normal people that he fucks with, and you were like, oh, okay, like he's actually like, I see why people actually like rock with him. And so that was really cool to go watch them play at UCLA in like a setting where it was away from an arena, because you really appreciate NBA players or professionals when you see them in like relatively normal settings do really crazy abnormal shit. That was cool.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I will throw one more. I did not like playing in this place, but because I grew up as a Big East basketball fan, and I watched so many games. We played Melo in the Carrier Dome. I think the Suns. We played Melo in a preseason game. We played up there. I think AI was on the team too, so we played them in the Carrier Dome. It was crazy.
Was it like 100,000 people or 80,000 people there? Did they all show up?
No, because they don't show out like that for preseason NBA, so it wasn't like a rocking. I mean, it was pretty packed, but I don't think it was one of their larger crowds. But just that venue, the way they set it up, the way they chop it. I never shot well in places like that, so I didn't love it.
What's the depth perception on a arena like that?
Listen, dog, the only other experience I had was playing in the Alamo Dome, trying to make the Spurs team, and we went out there. I knew I probably wasn't getting into any of those games, but it didn't fucking matter, because if I did, I wasn't making a shot in there. I already knew that.
It's weird about the arenas, bro, because like Houston's like that. Because I remember whenever I go to Toyota Center, like you really gotta like look, because they have like a crazy backdrop of seats, so the weirdly the rim looks like further than it actually is. So sometimes you gotta like, I've shot at Toyota Center, and you feel like you gotta just like throw that thing all the way to the backboard, and hopefully that shit goes in, and maybe it's a swish. But it's just weird like that. Did you see where you want to see a game played? Where do you want to see a game played?
Yeah,
you've kind of been all over the world.
Yeah, I'd love to see one in Cameron. I'd like to go to one of those big like EuroLeague games, like one of those.
I was just going to say that, like Real Madrid or against like Barca or something like that. That would be fucking nuts.
Yeah, I want to go see one of those. I don't know, man. There are a few arenas like I'd like to see some of the newer NBA arenas that I haven't seen. That'd be dope. I'd like to see who's got the newer ones. Sacto. I'd like to see Golden State's. Yeah, the Clippers new spot. What is it? Intuit,
and probably going to be the cheapest arena in the league. cheapest ticket. It's probably like.
But most of my venues are football. Like I like to see football game. Most of my dream like spectating experience would be college football games.
Well, hey, your boy is going to be in the SEC, so maybe you want to LSU. Go to watch a game at LSU, something like that.
Been to one already, but yeah, that's a place.
That crazy? Was that crazy? That probably was fucking nuts.
LSU shit was nuts, man. It's 100 and some thousand outside, but outside that would never go in because they're just tailgating, and then 100 and some inside. It's crazy.
Cliff just put a great idea in the chat. Knicks and Nets at the Rucker. That would never happen logistically. That could literally never happen. But
preseason vibes.
Yeah, or like maybe like NBA Street. Maybe something like that. Leave that in the past. Let's take a quick break, and we are going to get to Real One of the Week. We are back. Roger's Googling because this is always a pop quiz, even though we've been doing this for almost 6 years. And every Friday we do Real One of the Week. I'll start it off. My rule of the week is going to go to one Alonzo Carter, friend of the show. He has been brought up a lot on this show. He coined the phrase, get your feelings out the shit. He is now the head coach of Sacramento State football. He was an assistant at Arizona, the head assistant, and he took a job at Sacramento State. And I went to the press conference yesterday, Raja, and it was a sight to behold. I would have flew you out myself to watch this one. He had a 30-minute monologue, and everybody was there. He talked about how everybody is put on notice throughout the whole conference. He's coming for everybody's recruit, how he's going to make Sacramento State the USC of where he's at. He's going to make it a national program. He said he's going to every nook and cranny of America. He talked about, he cut the president off when the president said he was from Oakland. He said, I'm from West Oakland. Get it straight. I'm like, the entire Oakland contingency was in this small press conference room. It was so funny because he brought everybody out, and everybody, when somebody from the town come in, we're going to make this spot our own. So there was a delegated section for media. No, we sat up in that shit. We all sat up in there. It was hella funny because shout out Coach Terry from Contra Costa College, because they asked for members of the media to raise their hand for if they had a question. And he raised his hand to ask Coach Carter a question about mental health. And it threw Coach Carter like, you're not a media member. You're one of the contingency of the people that came with me. What are we doing? But it was hilarious. Coach Zoe is about to be, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be entertaining as hell. Raja, somehow we're going to have to bring you to a game. He's commissioning everybody from Marshawn to Marcus Peters to Ryan Coogler to take their ass on the sideline. We might need Raja Belder to help out with a recruiting visit. But anyway, Coach Carter is my real one of the week. That was
Coach Carter repping Piedmont to the fullest, dog. Piedmont's finest.
Raja, that's not funny, bro. That's not funny. That's really just not funny.
Come on, dog.
No. That's not.
That's all. That's awesome, though. Like, all jokes aside, that's pretty cool. No, it is pretty cool. My real, I'll keep it college football with you. Like, real one of the week is going to go to the newly minted Heisman winner, Fernando Mendoza, who is from Miami. This is 305 Christopher Columbus High School. I'm tapped into high school football, and I knew he was a good player in high school, but like most of the college coaches that weren't super interested in him coming out, I did not know how good he was. And he's got a really cool story. It resonates with me because I had a very similar story coming out. Like, not many people believed in him. Not many people gave him the opportunity that he wanted, but he took the one that he had, and he just kept grinding and believing and making the most of it. And I thought his message was important, which was to keep working. You can do it. Like, keep working and keep believing in yourself until you find someone who believes in you and gives you that opportunity. He did that. He made the most of it. About to be probably first pick in the NFL draft. Good luck to him in the college football playoffs. But 305's own Fernando Mendoza, Heisman, real one.
Is he going to look good in silver and black?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't. Does anyone look good in silver and black now? I don't know.
I think everyone aesthetically looks great in silver and black.
Well, silver and black.
Does the team look good? It's all we have right now is great colors. But I mean, I'm on the fence. We probably should just go get a lineman, dude. We should trade down and get a lineman, because we would put him in a body bag if he fucking goes back on our own line right now. Also, another real one, real quick. Nikola Jokic, who became, at age 30, the all-time assist leader among centers. He got that at 30. He broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. For context, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played till he was 41. And it took half the time for Jokic to get that record. Fucking cyborg. Shout out to Nikola Jokic. Shout out to all the real ones worldwide, man. Realonesmailbag@gmail.com, realonesmailbag@gmail.com, realonesmailbag@gmail.com. I'm stalling because Roger's going to get mad at me because he has to go on a roller coaster, and he's getting madder by the second right now.
No, we'll just have. You're good, bro. I mean, we could keep it rolling. We'll just have Kaya come in as bad, but she could be jumping on the beds. Like, as long as the listeners are good with that, we're straight.
It's okay. My niece is good. It's fine. It's fine. She's fine. You know what I mean? It's all good. It'd be good to see her. She's probably might be the only one that hasn't been on the podcast in some shape or form. We had Ty Bell on the podcast when Steph Curry was here. He didn't want to say nothing, but it was cool. He was.
So Ty Bell, look, quick story. Ty Bell was 42 points away from 1,000 career points in high school for his last home game before we came to Vegas. He told me, yeah, I'm going to get it. I'm like, there's no fucking way you're getting it. And started off pretty slow. And then had 36 with 2.5 minutes to go in the game. And I thought he was going to get it. And his coach kind of shut him down, which I appreciated because, like, at that point, the game was kind of out of hand. And I didn't want him looking like an a-hole chasing the 1,000. But, like, it's pretty cool. So he's about to hit 1,000 points. If he scores 6 tomorrow or tonight, he's got 1,000 career points early in his sophomore season. So pretty cool.
Sorry, Cliff. He's not going to Temple, bro. It's not happening. I'm sorry. He's not. I hope he comes to the West Coast. That would be cool. Just selfishly, I'm trying to watch him play. I don't know if Raja wants that to happen, but it's cool. Anyways,
hey, I'm down. Listen, I'm down with whatever.
Okay. Shout out. Let's go. Let's get it. I'm gonna tell you this story offline. See you guys Tuesday. Me and Howard motherfucking Beck. Happy holidays. Have a good primer to your holidays. We'll see you next week. Tap in all the shits. Bye. Must be 21 years and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino. For 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.